Action. I'm not just kidding. Sorry. All right. That was cringe. One, two, three. Action. Metal Gear Red, episode 2.
Good morning, Revolution.
All right. Sorry. We're editing all that shit out. All right.
Good morning,
Anyway.
Revolution.
I'm leaving it in.
All right. So this is, I don't have to introduce this as a second fucking episode. It's in the title. It's in, everyone knows. But everyone said they wanted an introduction last time because apparently nobody knows who anyone is. I'm the only famous one here. So starting from least famous, Eddie Smith. Who's that? Eddie. Can you please introduce yourself to everyone?
My name's Eddie. I'm a TikTok influencer. I do like dancing videos and whatnot. And I'm also a communist.
Wow. And Noah, can you tell us who you really are?
I probably not. I'm Noah, and I'm a tradesman and a communist, and I also dance.
Oh
Dude,
my
okay,
god.
this is really guys.
All
I'm
right.
sorry. We can't do this
We're
introducing thing.
keeping it all. By the way, all this is being kept in. All right. We're keeping all of it. Uh,
Wonderful.
so you dance. All right. Kyle, who are you? What's your deal?
Yeah, I am a member of the ACP. I'm on the executive board. I work with the trade unions sometimes. Sometimes I work with our own people. I don't know. Um, that's it. I'm a communist. I think that's probably in the the title. I don't understand
And
how
and
you would
and
know
are you
that.
do you frequent 42nd Street or whatever, 39th Street?
I go to 149th Street in the Bronx a lot. So I hear it's really nice,
We run
So
that shit.
yeah.
I went there once. We were
All right,
just
guys,
talking
on to
about
the
that.
news. All the introductions are in order, I guess. We all know who. And
Do you want to do
yeah,
do
go
you want
ahead.
to do real introductions though,
No,
Haas? Okay, good.
nope. We're freewheeling it. And I am Haz Aldin. I'm a famous brown man. That's what I'm known as now, the brown man.
That's what we call you.
Brown foreigner. So, okay, so let's get a little more serious, guys. We have the impending invasion of Venezuela. Eddie, you know about that. Can you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, I mean it's the same old story. I mean Trump a few years ago, I can't remember when it was, but he, openly said that he just wanted to go in and get the oil and that if he was elected again, he would have gone in and gotten the oil. So ever since the Bolivarian Revolution came to state power with the election of Chavez in 1998, which came with the renationalization of their oil industry, kicking out all these Western corporations who had exploited their oil since literally the 1920s, which is the reason Venezuela is now dependent on oil, not because of anything Chavez did. But ever since he came to power and kicked out all these Western multinational corporations, they've wanted regime change in Venezuela, meaning, the U.S. State Department and the arms of Western capitalist imperialism. So in 2002, there was an attempted coup against Hugo Chavez, where the U.S. funneled a bunch of money and logistics and training into right wing Venezuelan opposition forces. They kidnapped Chavez for 48 hours, tried to get him to sign a resignation letter. He wouldn't. The left wing sections of the Venezuelan military, as well as the people, mobilized in mass to the point where they were going to violently oust the U.S. backed leadership that they were trying to install, the U.S. backed opposition. And they were forced to return Chavez to power. And that was a humiliating defeat for the U.S. empire and the Bush administration at the time. And they've been trying to overthrow Venezuela ever since with all this nonsense about protecting democracy and fighting authoritarianism and human rights. But really, it comes down to the oil, which Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. So much so that with the sanctions on Russia recently, the U.S. was going to Maduro and begging him for some of his oil. So it seems that they're pretty desperate at this moment to get their hands on it, which is ironic considering Trump came to power mocking George Bush for being a warmonger, but now he's following right in his footsteps.
Yeah,
Oh, it's go ahead.
No, it's sad, right? Millions of people voted for Trump because they considered him the peace candidate. And immediately upon getting in office, he begins war, beating the drums of war. It's not just Venezuela. This is just the most recent thing he's done. You know, it's it brings up a very good point though. Years ago, during his first term, I don't think that Trump warmongering would have done to the MAGA movement what it's done though, right? It's split MAGA in two. Even the influencers, right, who are usually just like they'll toe along with whatever Trump says, are coming out against him, even in favor of socialist Venezuela. The only one I've seen, like a big one I've seen that's even with him on this, is Alex Jones, which surprises me, frankly. I mean, Alex Jones back in the day, like if you guys remember, he used to be the guy who he like screaming to the camera, like if the ATF goes to your house, you have every right as an American to shoot them in the face. Like now it's like if the ATF comes to your house, you better salute them and say, good job, thank you for your service, because everything Trump does is perfect. It's very strange to me. I don't know.
There's an important distinction to keep in mind, though, which is a nice mug, by the way. I didn't know you had that. Interesting. But no, the right wing, typically, historically, in terms of like the paleocon thing, I think they have always kind of clung to the Monroe Doctrine attitude, the hyper imperialist version of that, where they might be skeptical of interventions in the Middle East and Eastern Europe and then the other side of the world in general. But there is still kind of a chauvinism that's there, even among a lot of MAGA people, where they're like, well, that's our backyard. We own it. It's ours. And that's a pretty old, I mean, that dates back to the Spanish American War. I don't want to get into it. But that's, I mean, Trump's, America First agenda is peculiar because it's a criticism of foreign interventions done that on the basis of human rights and universal values and things like that. And that's where the skepticism is, and it's replaced by this kind of pseudo realism, which says we should just pursue American self-interest. Well, according to American self-interest, the foreign interventions are very costly. They're not. He's saying his basic point is that we're getting ripped off. There's not a good payout. On the other hand, in Latin America, which is our own backyard, he will try to argue the case that, actually it is in American self-interest to just kind of totally aggress and trespass upon these countries and totally control them. And so that's a major distinction that's there among the right. That's why even among people that are like anti-war when it comes to Russia or even the Middle East, some of them will, like Alex Jones, actually, that's the example you named. It's pretty common sentiment from what I've seen. But what I will say is that it honestly reflects that the radicalization in terms of the advancement of consciousness, it's not fully all the way there, obviously. And I'll go ahead and say this will be the last thing I say. I think we're the only ones that have a principled stance on this issue in Venezuela, to be honest. Maybe the PSL as well, to be fair to them, which they don't deserve anyway. But look, the right wing doesn't have a principled stance. They're like, what's the Monroe Doctrine? It's normal for us to just coup governments in Latin America. Well, then you have leftists now who have totally turned on Venezuela because of the perceived social conservatism that Maduro has espoused in recent podcasts. I've seen them turn on Venezuela totally. And now they're more in favor of this bullshit Petro and these like, complete sellout new wave of socialist leftists in Latin America, Boric, Petro, you name them. And Maduro is seen as kind of like a strong man who's reactionary and he's chauvinistic. Now I'll give my final thing. I'll give my appraisal. I'm hoping that Venezuela's got it locked down and they're going to be able to defend themselves, even if it's guerrilla war. I'm hoping that they'll get assistance and aid that they desperately need. But we're in a stage of just open and brazen warmongering and chauvinism, frankly, without any like humanitarian veil behind it.
I think there's another interesting dimension to take into account, which is that you just had this summit with the Russians in Alaska. Didn't seem to go very well. Didn't seem to really go anywhere. Trump has this meeting with all these world leaders from Europe, world leaders, these European despots in DC. And then the next thing he does instantaneously is make a really provocative move in the own backyard down there in Latin America in Venezuela. And it's kind of a part of a larger trend, I feel, which is that Trump has in a lot of ways pulled back on the international stage, but seems to be trying to shore up imperialist sort of projects within our region. He's trying to transition the U.S. from a global imperial superpower to more of a strong positioned regional imperialist power, or at least that's what I kind of take away from it. When imperialism shrinks abroad, the first thing they do is start to cannibalize the neighbors, so to speak, even if they're friendly, which is what he was trying to do with Canada and things like that. But I think that might be what's kind of going on in the thought process here, and at least factoring into the equation when it comes to this aggressive move with Venezuela.
Yeah, it's interesting. Trump basically gutted USAID, which has been one of the primary arms of imperialism involved in Venezuela, whether it be the 2002 coup or any of the regime change efforts since. They're one of the main arms that funnels money to the opposition, and they're one of these groups that does it on the basis of freedom and democracy and human rights. So Trump has gutted that, but at the same time, now he's sending naval destroyers to Venezuela. So it's less of this covert soft imperialism and more overt imperialism, which is one of the things that we actually predicted when they gutted USAID. And then, yeah, you have Maduro, who not only is, taking some socially conservative stances, but he also bashed the Western vaccines. He said, thank God we got these vaccines from Cuba and not from the US where they had all these problems. So that's a red line for a lot of leftists.
But notice,
Oh,
guys, there's a total media blackout.
Yeah.
yeah.
Always has been with Venezuela.
They
Always.
And I might add also with Haiti, because Eric Prince just had an agreement with the government of Haiti to go
yeah.
in and go in there. So whenever it's in our own backyard, they don't mess around with that. They might do psyops and gauge our interest and collect
Well, I
data.
think it's like you said though, Haas. They don't need to make as much consent for it because it's
Yeah,
it's already seen as just acceptable behavior.
right.
And the less they explain it, the more they have to explain it, right? But look, I have two sort of, I guess, points on this. One is the way Trump negotiates, right? And he does this over and over again in every single negotiation or situation he's in. And he wrote about it right in his book that he does it. So, like, you have to be stupid not to see it once you know it. It's just called the big ask. He goes in real bombastic. He sends nuclear subs into Russian waters. He wants to, like, big, scary, make
It's
waves.
totally obvious.
And then he backs away, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's the same thing with the DPRK.
Precisely,
Yeah,
exactly. And this is what
totally
he does
obvious.
over and over and over again. And this is why I mean, if I am in Venezuela, I'm thinking that this is a time to seriously consider a small time armed struggle because they're going to be sending more people in, but it's not going to be like a full on thing. And I think this is something they've had to consider every day, right? Like
The
I
Chavistas are
worry
ready for
about,
that. The most hardcore Chavistas have been preparing for
And
that for
I don't,
of
years.
course, and the communes
what
are.
worries me is, sorry to interrupt, but what worries me is I don't see the negotiation. I mean, if this was a bluff, what's the leverage? What is he looking for? I mean, he's not even talking to the government over there. Super concerning, actually.
Putting a
Well,
I'm
bounty
it,
on
it
Maduro's
could
head.
also be that Trump is trying to shore up within the imperialist bourgeoisie, which some of them he's pissed off, some elements of them he's really aggrandized. But I think there's been division in there since the beginning of the Trump administration, and I think he's trying to shore up their consensus as well. look, I can go into Venezuela. Why don't you play ball with me?
You know who
And
this is also? Rubio.
Mm,
right,
that's
Yes.
a good point.
yeah,
This is
he's
Rubio.
obsessed. He was hanging out with that Dog guy and everything else back in the day.
Rubio, by the way, Rubio is a really creepy bastard. I mean, I remember hearing about him years ago. Like he's got this vision for this like crazy technocracy. I mean, Rubio is such an understudied specimen. He is not a run-of-the-mill politician. He has a very dark, strange agenda for America's future, where he's like a crazy technocrat, almost quasi-socialist, if you want. In a way, yeah, he's like a DARPA Pentagon socialist in a way where he's like he envisions this future for like I don't know, it's fucking weird. You have to look at. I forgot all the details, but Rubio is super spooky and he's fucking weird. That's all I
His
could say.
parents were actually expelled from Cuba, and he pretends like it was Fidel, but it was Batista who
Yeah.
his family fled.
Didn't he have to like someone made him admit that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I forget who it was, but that was funny. Look, I genuinely worry about Venezuela right now. Um, their strategy for, I mean, maintaining sovereignty was to have this sort of like bourgeois, formal, opposing parties democracy. And we see how our government and the sort of global ruling class has played that against them,
Bolivia.
right?
All, all I
Exactly.
Bolivia.
all I can say
Exactly.
is this: Venezuela has to drop any appeal to the international community. There's no such thing. They have to have a hard military realism attitude to
Right.
this whole thing. They're appealing to them. I can tell you as an American, appealing to the moral sensibilities of the American public will do nothing. It'll have net zero effect.
Right.
Talking to the UN there needs to be just full hunkering down, pure military realism, drafting up guerrilla war strategies. I mean, there cannot be any games here because this is not going to be a moral battle, at least not in the beginning. I mean, if they can make it a protracted war like Vietnam,
Yeah.
then the moral effect will kick in for certain.
Right.
But they at this point, the U.S. is not going to negotiate. No one's going to negotiate, and I think they're smart. I think they're probably doing it. Mobilization's got to begin right
They,
away.
I
I
don't
think I,
I
I
don't
think they
even know if
already had seen things to that effect. They had put out some new military propaganda videos and everything else in
that's
the last
good.
couple of days.
I don't even know if that's going if a moral effect will kick in because one of the main reasons it could in Vietnam is because Vietnam was being backed by the Soviets. There's no Soviets anymore. Russia's not going to come to Venezuela's aid. China sure isn't. You
If
know,
I may say something, I do find it strange. I know everyone critiques China and they don't understand Chinese politics, and I agree with the pro-Chinese view, obviously. But if I may make a small suggestion, I think China is in a position at this point to have a more active role. They don't have to be the Soviet Union, but you can utilize and employ some degree of leverage to come to the defense of Venezuela. I mean, we have an international post war framework of national self determination and sovereignty. Okay. The bipolar world is what kind of kept that together. With the Soviet Union versus the USA. Soviet Union's gone. Nobody's keeping the USA in check anymore. So we have an international security architecture that is in danger. So if Xi Jinping and the Chinese are sincere about their commitment to common prosperity and common future for mankind, upholding international law, upholding a common security architecture for global security. There has to be a large responsible actor that steps in and ensures that the rights of small nations can be defended, that there will be a voice for them, and that would be willing to put leverage behind that. Maybe China has totally lost faith in that, and they're just kind of waiting for the storm, for the big confrontation with the U.S., and they have no faith in their ability to kind of protect the post-war security architecture of the world, and that's also kind of a respectable position. I get that, but I hope that's the case. I hope they don't believe their own words then when they talk about.
I would have to disagree slightly that it's respectable in that sense. Not from the bleeding heart sort of metaphysical arguments, but it would be a mistake for China to just let that happen in Venezuela. I mean, you have to think back to the Cold War when the Soviets were defending the rights of small nations against imperialism. That's what gave them international credibility, even in Western powers. I mean, even in places like France, people were becoming more and more sympathetic to Soviet foreign policy through that. And if China were to leave that chip on the table in this, they'd be doing themselves a massive disservice. I mean, this is a clear, the Chinese, I mean, they're all about win-win. This is a scenario where a real politic strategy of directly defending Venezuela's sovereignty, even in the international arena and things like that, that would be a massive win for China overall. They would see a much higher standing amongst other nations, especially
But
smaller nations
at,
as
at the
well.
same time, they could also recognize that doing that would be an immediate confrontation with the US, and they might be hunkering down and preparing for a I hope that's the case, that
Wait,
that's what they're doing. They're preparing for a large, more climactic confrontation with the US.
Well, they've definitely been open about that for sure, saying it at least.
well, I
Um,
mean, and their military is like buildup has been constant, right?
Mm-hmm. Their
Uh,
shipbuilding capabilities are very advanced. I mean, much faster than the US in terms
my
of their ability to do that.
my
because they still
thinking
have
is that
industrial output.
the US is just too unpredictable, right? Like the US could, depending on what year it is and who's in office, begin a nuclear conflict, right? Like, why do you
That's
think,
true.
like, I'm sure there is so much in defense of Palestine. You could, like, arguments they could make besides just the moral, we should stop a genocide argument, right? Just because of where it's located, that defense of Palestine would be a reasonable option. But you can't be sure that that won't start a nuclear as a conflict, right?
I just
And I
think
mean,
Venezuela is more strategically important than some people give it credit for, too. I know it's dangerous for China because they're right under the nose of the US, but that's why they're so important, too. They're like the bastion of revolution in South America. You got Cuba and Venezuela, and even these, social democratic pussies like Gabriel Bori condemn them as too far. It's because they actually are challenging imperialism, offering trade lines with Iran and China and the DPRK and these other countries. Like to let it collapse, I think would be I get they're playing the long game, but that would be very tragic.
It would make their long game even more difficult.
Right.
That's the point I want to make. Is that if they sacrifice this and allow Venezuela to be, put under the jackboot of the U.S. Imperialists, um, they are sacrificing a good position for their long game strategies.
Right.
So I think that they're smart enough to realize that. I don't think they're going to allow this to just go without anything.
Mm. Yeah, the nuclear factor, it is profound because one button you can erase all the progress of decades in terms of building a industrial civilization and wipe out half of the population. I mean, it's just like a and yeah, I mean, at a certain point in a game theoretical model, if you will, the U.S. just has less to lose. I mean, it's like a crackhead on the street. What does he have to lose? He's just going to come and stab you. You could be someone who built up your whole life. Okay, you're living a great life. You were the responsible one. So much meticulous effort and work, and then you surpass someone. That person spirals down in drug addiction. They become a crackhead, and then you walk by them on the street. You got to wonder, like, hey, if they come and stab me, what do they lose? Nothing. They already lost everything,
that
and now they're gonna
literally
come.
happened to me once.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, the U.S. has become a crackhead on the street with a shard of glass, and it's like, are they gonna do it? We don't. Who knows?
It
It's
was
like
a
a
pocket
guy
knife in
under
real life, but yeah.
it's a guy under the bridge with the glass shiv, like you said, and it's he's holding you up for crack money. You know what I mean? Like that's do it or else.
I used to I worked at a bar when I was younger, right? I was a bartender. Me and my buddy Keith, and we had a 50-cent draft night every Monday. And so every Monday, crackheads would come in and try to drink cheap beer, right? And we'd end up kicking them out. Sometimes when they weren't causing trouble, we'd be like, all right, fine, just don't bother nobody, sit at the end of the bar. This one dude came in, and every time he bought a beer, he would take everything out of his pockets, right? put it right on the bar. A crack pipe, a pocket knife, loose change, like half cigarettes, right? And I'm like, dude, you can't keep putting your crack pipe on the fucking bar. I'm gonna have to kick you out. And finally, like he keeps doing it. So I'm like, all right, you gotta go. Go, get out of here. And so me and he's like weirdly like backing away, like real slow. And he's wasted, right? And there's just like a look in his eye, and I'm like,
Drunken
what the
fist.
fuck? What the fuck is
Fist.
happening? Dude pulls out his pocket knife, opens it up real slowly, and then throws it at me.
Jesus Christ.
Right? And so we rush and push him out the door and slam it and lock it. And my buddy's calling the police.
Which is what China needs to do.
Dude, this guy sat there knocking on the door asking me for his knife back. I'm like, the one you just tried to murder me with? No.
How do you think he got the pocket change, Noah? He needs his. He needs.
I hope
his,
you
tools back.
disinfected your hands and the knife and you
Dude,
washed your
that
hands.
entire place got power washed.
Good. Good. Perfect. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty terrible that we're Venezuela. I mean, look, the I think the solution is it's guerrilla warfare. In a conventional war, Venezuela doesn't stand a chance. But could they make it the Latin Vietnam like Maduro said? They probably could. You just need the right
I think
morale.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
The terrain there is. I mean, it may as well
Chavistas
be
have
the
been
Latin
talking about
Vietnam.
it forever too. The real hardcore ones, the MLs, they knew this was coming.
And
I
you
hope
know, people talk a lot about the popularity of the opposition, but from what our comrades who have actually been there say, it is not as strong as people say, not even nearly.
No.
so. Shifting gears, I guess. Speaking of popularity, I guess that's a good way to segue. The political realignment that I've always been talking about, where the Democrat and liberals are going to become like Azov Nazis, and MAGA is probably going to become a little more left wing. That's happening, okay? Because there's a new thing that's becoming popular among Groypers and among the far right, which is Newsom. Gavin Newsom. And the reasoning is pretty simple. Gavin Newsom's a white man with a white family. He's dark woke. He's turning MAGA's fascist arguments against MAGA. I mean, there was never a fascist argument. And then the JD Vance is also the target because his wife is brown, I guess, and his wife is Indian, and that's their issue. And then there's more nuance, I guess, because they claim that, well, we don't support Fuentes claims he doesn't support Newsom, but the movement clearly does, and it's not really just ironic. They clearly do support Newsom. And the far right is rallying behind Newsom, and that's the Spencer right, the Richard Spencer position, more or less. And I think that, this is not purely a reaction to JD Vance. I mean, the skepticism of JD Vance is justified, frankly. He is a Peter Thiel weirdo. He is a weird Palantir guy. He is a deep state. He is spooky. He is strange. I totally makes sense to me. They are probably trying to prop him up for 28, maybe. But I think the Newsom hype has acquired a meme like life of its own, so to speak. And it's become like this kind of dark woke thing where it's basically exactly what we predicted would happen. It's the Richard Spencer kind of, oh, Ukraine is Nazi. And, yeah, so the Nazis are going to support. I mean, look, the dialectics of it is so simple. It's like I've been talking about it for years. Okay. Liberalism is contingent upon white Western civilization. Brown people are not liberal. They're not. Third world countries don't have liberal human rights values. They don't believe in them. So the Nazis are just like, you know what? Go white people. Go Newsom.
That was Richard Spencer's argument about Biden.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you are a white nationalist, you have to be a liberal. That's what the white, European civilization.
Perfectly dialectical.
That's what it gave.
We were all
frankly like even their sort of anti-wokeness is woke, right? It's the same sort of PMC whining that all of the wokes do.
we all knew, okay, guys, for the decade or so that the woke thing, it was a white liberal thing. Okay. It
Mhm.
was white people that were scared to go into the hood and they were scared of black people. And their way of filtering it is like, oh, we're just going to be hyper politically correct and hyper uptight and hyper neurotic. And these are like qualities and characteristics of the worst kind of like, I don't know, wasp neuroticism, I
Yeah.
guess. And it's the same kind of thing. And I like the Puritans, don't get me wrong, but there is merit to the argument that it kind of did kind of a little bit come from that in some ways. And that now the Nazis are putting two and two together and they're just straight up like, yeah, we are woke, dark woke, pro Newsom, pro whatever. And it's the logic of it is perfectly dialectical. It makes total sense.
Yeah. Look, Karen is a liberal. Nick Fuentes is a fucking Karen on crack. That's all he is. At the end of the day, like all he does is the shit that Karen does when she's not invited to the barbecue. She fucking talks shit on the black people up the street. It's all fucking Nick Fuentes does because he's not fucking cool with people of this certain demographics in this country who don't like him because he just fucking pops off and complains. That's all it is. It's like the guy would be pushing classical music or something if he wasn't opportunistically hanging out with Kanye. I mean, that's just the reality.
Even when he was on that stream with Haas and Destiny, he like tried to team up with Destiny to like throw shots at Haas, and you could see it right there. Like these PMC liberals and PMC fascists have more in common than
I,
the
I learned
libertarian commie.
I learned I didn't even know who these people were. I learned they have the same crossover, same audience, the same
Oh, do they?
demographic of people. They're basically these like weird nerds, and
Like
it's
Destiny's son.
gamers, nerds, just weirdos, like
Destiny's Son's
freaks.
a neo-Nazi now, right?
He's a groiper, yeah.
That was surprising to some people, not to me at all,
It makes
frankly.
total sense.
Well, also look at the majority of what the Groypers are. I mean, they're the people who follow Fuentes. They're people who are deeply antisocial, deeply incapable of socializing just in general, and they pin all of this on the concept that, well, the fact really, which is that American culture is a melting pot of all of the different people who are of this country. So they hyperfixate on, oh well, it's American culture has just become black culture, and so there's no place for me, and that's why I can't go out and talk to ladies at the club. Like that's what it is for them. It's a deep felt resentment because they're fucking antisocial people who can't go outside and hang out with people and have a good time. They can't go out and pick up women from the bar because they've got no fucking aura. That's just the
So
reality.
look,
They're just
Literally,
in the corner
literally,
coping about it.
the class.
literally, it's they're jealous that the black kid was cooler than them and took their girls.
Exactly. I don't know
Look,
what to tell you.
there's also the class dimension, which is pretty
Oh yeah.
clear, which is that this is the lumpen PMC. Okay, that's who it is.
Mhm.
And actually explains the whole JQ thing totally. I talked about this because the Jews are pretty dominant in these PMC fields, lawyers, doctors, whatever, media. And these are the fields where you don't work. They're not real jobs. And these people aspire to climb the ladder in those fields and they come across gatekeepers, Jewish gatekeepers, just like all gatekeeping dynamics. So their whole fantasy is just like, okay, just get rid of the Jewish gatekeepers and then we could have, a hedge fund manager that's a Gentile, or we could have Hollywood run by the Gentiles. We could have all the doctors and lawyers just be, and they have that kind of dream, and then there's nothing else for them. There's no other possibility of, they assume that to be the universal human condition. They don't understand that there's a lot of human beings that work with their hands. There's a lot of
Yep.
people that are working class that don't actually at all sympathize or relate to the position of, thinking that they're going to be in these positions, these
Yep.
jobs.
And that's why they're liberal, because that's what they want to maintain. They want to maintain the exact same thing, only they want DEI for fucking white people. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
And it's
It all comes from just resentment and the fact that they're all personal failures. I don't want to say all, but the majority of them are. And
99%.
yeah, and
I mean,
unfortunately, the ones that aren't social failures, they're getting caught up in the zeitgeist because this is what's seen as the dominant thing that is a political position outside of the superstructure.
The Jake Shields
But
of the
it's
world.
the
they're
new
all
counterculture,
they're
right?
all neats. All of them are neats.
Yep.
It's a given. I mean, everyone knows it. They're neats. Now, there's people are not working class. These people don't work. They don't have jobs. They're neats. They're gamers. They're
Not
That's
a
why they're
consumers.
single
obsessed with
one of
anime
them.
and everything else.
Not a single one of them would last a day working.
And I'm observing the memes, okay? And like the memes for Newsom are like Labubus and matcha and all that shit. And it's like consumerism. Vote for Newsom. He's going to maintain consumerism. We're just going to keep consuming and consuming. I actually
More
think
video games.
Andrew Yang's UBI thing, they were like totally for that.
I'm sure.
They were. It was to be fair, some good people were for Yang as well, but I'm just saying it's like this is an ideology rooted in consumption.
I think,
Right.
100%.
I think Haas, you make a really good point though about the gatekeeping. And they run into it and they grow this like resentment and it sort of festers in their echo chambers, right?
By the way, do you know who that also holds for? One of the wreckers of our party.
Oh yeah.
It was trying to get a job at a hospital, and she ran into some Jews who ruined her career and whatever. And it's like,
they
oh, what a
live in her
wonder
walls
that
right
they're
here.
what a wonder that she's just straight up like a groiper now, you know?
Right? How
The
surprising.
same class position of the disgruntled, downwardly mobile PMC.
I'm gonna say it. I straight up warned you guys about her. You did not listen.
Yeah,
I
in any
told
case.
I told you, dude. I know she's crazy.
I
I've
think
heard
we all
about it.
did, but
We
I
all
think
didn't
we
think
all
it's
were
crazy,
in
but we all
agreement.
felt everybody
We
should
were
get a
trying to be
second
nice.
chance, and
Yeah.
we were wrong.
We were trying to be nice. It's fine. But look, when they run up against these gatekeepers, they miss the fucking point. Like they do on everything. It's why they focus on something that's sort of a side issue. Like their gatekeepers are Jewish.
I guess I don't relate to it either because I could have become a lawyer. I could have, law school was like piss easy for me. It was like I didn't even attend class. It was a breeze. I passed with flying colors while I was like streaming full time. And I just wasn't impressed by it. I was like, this is all the prestige. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. This is all fake. And also, like, to be fair, it was on Zoom. This was like during lockdown. But so I never had that like, oh, I want to join the club, the prestige club, the professional club. I was kind of more like, this is a fucking waste of my time. I'm doing bullshit for no reason, like functionally and rationally, it doesn't fulfill anything. And that's just like way more of a working class outlook where you're just like, what's the meat and potatoes? Like, what am I actually fucking doing here? I'm just for the formality? Like, I'm going to type this 50-page brief when I could just fucking have it be done automatically by an automated system. Like, why the fuck am I wasting my time doing this procedure and formality when it's not yielding any like outcome? I've always resented these like academic institutions and whatever because there's the meat and potatoes takes a back seat to the formalism.
The empty formality.
I despise the time wasting formalism. I despise how useless it is. Right. So I guess, guys, I'm the most extreme anti-Semite there is. 'Cause I want to fucking destroy the very institutions themselves. Like I'm not, oh, we just want to replace the Jews. It's like, no. It's like what Marx wrote in the Jewish question. You have to abolish Judaism itself.
Well, if
No.
we're going with the conceptualization that Jews are just glasses wearing people, sorry,
No,
Jews are just glasses wearing.
Yeah.
people.
That's the assumption that's
Right,
the
right.
premise of
Well,
the whole
here's the
thing.
thing: that's why the right wingers are so resentful. You hit the nail on the head. They hate the Jews because they can't get a job in professionalism. What's the thing though that ties this back to what we're talking about, which is the leftists? They're on the
Yeah.
same thing. Why
Same
can't
shit.
we all be fucking furry porn artists? On
That's why they're
Twitter or
converging.
whatever, you know?
That's why they're converging. Right now, if you look at my replies all the time, it's Groypers and Trotskyites high-fiving and retweeting each other and supporting each other. It's fucking crazy. Like this is a class convergence. Sorry, a convergence of class interests which transcends ideology. It's these PMC people, and the working class position is just like, I don't give a fuck about these institutions.
They
Like,
all just refuse to get a real fucking job. That's the reality. They all just want to sit on their ass and be kings of everything
and
because
and
They
of
want a
bourgeois
creative
And
formalism.
also,
job.
there's a similar resentment of Trump's National Industrial Policy Initiative because they're like, oh, so we, the Goyim, are going to go to the coal mines and fucking like work in manufacturing and we're going to be slaves and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, this is the classic case of the dilemma of the proletariat. Okay, all these middle classes are facing ruin and joining the ranks of the proletariat, and that is depicted as like a monstrosity, which it is, right? But the communist position or the Marxist position consistently is, but it's inevitable. You cannot return back to these PMC whatever professional dreams you had, and the proletariat has to win its dignity. It has to win its rights. You know, the idea of manufacturing and coal mining sounds fucking horrific because the proletariat works under horrific fucking conditions. And the only way that it can acquire its dignity is if it organizes, if it fights on. And they don't want to be part of that fight. They don't want to cast their lot with the proletariat. They want to still, dream of like being part of the elite of society in terms of academic and institutional prestige. And that's the crux of the issue. It's a class contradiction. It's the reactionary petty bourgeoisie refusing to cast its lot with the proletariat.
Look, they would not last in that fight. They can't engage in that fight. They're soft.
That's kind of what I was
Absolutely.
gonna say too. Haas was saying this to one of them on the debate stream yesterday. It was so good. Like, you guys are just now realizing that you have to get organized. You hear Nick Fuentes saying, "Guys, we really got to get organized," like something we realized 5 years ago. And when they do have to actually organize a party, I think they're gonna fall apart because of that petty bourgeois mindset, the individualism, and then just the fact that they don't have the same unifying ideological principle that we do. You know, like, what's the end result of their ideology? Becoming the white Netanyahu's and murdering everyone else? Like, they're
Well,
not
no,
actually going
They're
to
gonna call
put
each
that
other
into practice.
brown until there's none of them left.
They're
none of them
basically
have a fucking work ethic. It's
Right.
impossible for them,
And-
their entire class. It's impossible.
And to be clear, to continue with my extreme anti-Semitism, the thing is that working class politics aims to completely dethrone the PMC and wipe out their institutions and citadels of power completely. So it's not like, we are on board with this idea of like everyone becoming proletarianized while the people that occupy the gatekeepers, whether they're Jewish or Gentiles, fucking means nothing to us, by the way. But the people occupying those reigns of power and gatekeeping, like, oh, they should be the masters and the proletariat should be working for them as slaves. It's like, no, that's the point. We are fighting for the supremacy of the proletariat, and we are fighting for the destruction of bourgeois civilization and bourgeois hegemony. We are the barbarians at the gates who are advocating the destruction of bourgeois civilization wholesale. That means when you walk into a fucking bar and you have a diploma, it's not going to mean a fucking thing. You are judged by the content of your character, by what you can actually perform and do and show the results. Your credibility and your credentials and all that hot air bullshit means fucking nothing. There's no more Hollywood anymore because we have AI. Every single man is empowered with the ability to create movies and works of art themselves. No longer is someone going to just rest on the fucking laurels of institutional prestige. We are fighting for an alternative world where the whole hegemony of bullshit big wig hegemony, it's totally dismantled. And the Groypers and the Trotskyites and the DSA types, they want to preserve that hegemony, but maybe swap some of the people out, maybe make it more inclusive, maybe have more people in it. And the leftists are like, we want more BIPOC disabled folks in there. And then the right wing is like, oh, we want to bypass the Jewish gatekeepers and have the Gentiles have their time in the sun. We're the only ones, we communists with a capital C, we're the only ones, and sorry for rambling for so long, but we're the only ones who are saying we want to tear the whole fucking thing down.
Yep.
Period.
Well, in both instances, what both camps are truly afraid of, and this is what is going to lead to their coalescence, is they are terrified of a real meritocracy, where what you fucking do is actually equivalent to your standing in society. No one needs a bunch of morons who can't pick up a hammer, can't do anything real, can't actually make anything to lead anything. Nobody respects that anymore. Everybody knows that these people are windbags and that ultimately they're fucking failures, even in their social lives, which is ultimately what it goes back to, the resentment for them.
You know what they all are? They're all, do you guys remember a couple of years ago? They're all the Netflix walkout. Remember that? Like they were all pissed that Dave Chappelle was funny. And so they walked out. And what were their demands? They weren't, like we're taking Netflix from you. They weren't, we need better wages and working conditions. They were, we want control of what's shown and what's not shown. We want to decide which posters go on the walls, and we want trans people everywhere.
They want to maintain a cultural hegemony. That's all it is.
I don't want to I'm going to just be real quick about this, but people underestimate how important superstructural revolutions are in a revolutionary circumstance. Like what the Soviet Union did. I'll go to Moscow and I see that. It's like, that is so fundamental. Like they didn't preserve the czarist hegemony. They totally created a new proletarian-led one where they created a true dictatorship of the proletariat, the arts, the sciences, the academy. Everything was not only inclusive, letting in proletarians, it was structured on the basis of the working class proletarian ethic and mindset. And it was like an entire civilization created in the mold and in the image of the working class. If you take Americans to Russia and see the monuments in the Soviet days, it's like, this was the dictatorship of the rednecks. This was the rednecks, the working class people, the blue collar. This was a whole state. This was a MAGA state. Imagine a dictatorship of MAGA. That's what it was. They were in charge. The deplorables were in charge.
Yes.
All the statues and monuments was farmers, it was workers, it was technicians, it was metal workers, steel workers. It was a whole society that venerated them as the heroes and the leaders.
Beautiful.
I'll tell you what. If you are working class, all right. I know I talk about work way too much, but if you come onto my job site and you're sitting around, you're lazy, you're entitled, or even if you can't do your job well, you get kicked the fuck off that site because you're endangering people's lives. These people complaining that AI is stealing their labor make me fucking laugh. I'm sorry. There's no world where that should be something you're complaining about. I'm sorry.
It's that authority that Ingalls talks about in On Authority, which is just like the authority of being a human and needing to produce, what you need to reproduce yourself. And that instills an iron discipline in the proletariat. Because Noah said, if you fuck up at your job too bad, you could get somebody killed. So that's why, capitalism creates this class of people who are perfect to serve as the revolutionary agent, or at least one reason.
And it's so multifarious, the whole thing, because it's not just the brute class analysis. It bleeds into fucking everything else. Our political opposition, these are people that don't go to the gym. They don't believe in pushing themselves to the limit. They don't believe in inflicting pain on themselves for a greater reason, for a greater cause. They just believe in passive consumption and everything. They don't believe in any discontinuities in their experience of reality. And that is why they are cattle. Because the ultimate discontinuity in experiencing reality is awareness, consciousness. You fucking wake up, you light a fire under your own ass, and you make something of yourself. They don't even have that. Square one. So people say, it's dangerous, I'm worried. It's like the danger is the widespread defeatism and nihilism. Because we are lions. One of us is thousands of them. They are passive cattle. They're nothing. They don't even go to the gym. So we're not scared of anything. But look, there's an alliance going on. Groypers, Trotskyites, DSA types, they're all converging. Every single person who talks about ACP being racist and chauvinist, we will show you what the leftist anti-ACP people are saying. They're joining in on the Groyper charade. They're saying ACP is a bunch of foreigners, a bunch of brown people. We are the dark woke, yada yada. It's like fuck it. Thank you. All bets are off. Thank you for leaving the fucking political correctness at the door. The only thing is this: when you guys stop being politically correct, you become fucking Nazis. When we stop being politically correct, we just tell funny jokes and we remain principled communists because we actually fucking believe in that shit. It's not a formality for us. Marxism is not a formality. It's not a politeness for us. It's what we actually believe in our bones and in our heart. These people, they're politically correct leftists, and it's just their way of being polite. They don't actually believe that shit. They believe in Hitler in their chest. Emphasis on Hitler. Sorry. But that's actually what they...
Well, it's like you said before, and I think this ties into what I've been kind of saying as well, which is that everything to them comes down to their social circle. Their politics change depending on who they're in the fucking room with, because none of them have principles. None of them have an iron discipline. No, they don't believe in anything. Both sides are nihilists at the end of the day. The leftists don't even believe in the nation. Neither, frankly, does the right wing. They reject the nation, and they want to supplant it with an idealized version of their nation. It's disgusting in both accounts. It's completely anti-human.
Damn straight.
Now, speak of the devil of unprincipled opportunists who change up and switch up depending on what room they're in. Vijay Prashad and the
friend.
Beckers. So, to give a very quick rundown, Vijay Prashad, hello, Jackson. I am very interested in coming on your show. And for 1 month, he was telling Jackson, and can we please send me the topics? I would be so interested. Jackson sends him the topics. They all iron it out. They agree. On the show, Vijay Prashad the whole time did the show with Jackson Hinkle. He goes, Jackson, I want you to say that I very much support you completely. And people who are fed jacketing a 23-year-old, it's completely wrong. And we need to have Marxism in the 21st, all this shit where he's getting along with Jackson, buddy. Okay, then literally the Beckers call him and freak out and say, why are you legitimizing ACP and Jackson? So he types up a fucking apology saying, I deeply regret going on Jackson Hinkle. He is a sexist and he is a racist and he is a this and that and they are vitriolic and I am completely don't want the American what do you say? The American Communist Party is spreading vitriol.
Can I just say, what a pussy? What a pussy! I need to apologize too that I was nice to this guy when we spoke. How can you, dude? That comes off
straight
so
up
fucking weak.
All I've ever said about him is this: Vagina Prashad. That's it. Vagina Prashart.
The Beckers say bend over, and he says how far.
Brian Becker, I'm so sorry. Please, I'm so sorry.
Jackson, everything the ACP says is correct. You're right. People shouldn't say all these lies about
Also, look, he's like a fucking Indian chauvinist, and he's like against Kashmir sovereignty or whatever, self-determination.
I've heard that too. I don't know.
Yeah, he is. He made a tweet. He was like, the Kashmiri terrorists are completely against Modi. Modi is complete. I don't fucking know. He's like some fucked up guy.
He's got fucking academic, dude. What do you expect?
Probably would have supported Hitler if he was alive during World War II, just Gandhi like Gandhi did.
So,
yeah, same shit.
Same shit. It's Gandhi socialism.
Can I say something about fucking Vijay Prashad? Okay, academics have never been anything in Marxism. Okay, his whole shtick is literally, it's like he's turning Marxism into veganism. He's like, come together, we will be in a circle and we will all just peacefully... Listen, I'm sorry, but Marxism is a militant thing. It's a revolutionary thing. It's always been something that was, dare I say, it's always been a form of warfare. It's a theory of warfare.
What
Okay,
did Mao
Vagina
call it?
Prashad, Viva Boric, Viva whatever. He always
Well,
says that stupid shit. Viva Zohran. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. People, Marxism, he's like, a party is built by candle, holding the candle. And what else did he say? I don't fucking know.
it's like written in candlelight or some fucking
Candlelight,
Like
and I don't
with
know.
fucking
strange
quills,
The
telenovela
PMC
bullshit.
holding a candle with a pencil in the other hand. Oh, we're done.
with like
It,
six
that,
pairs of glasses on.
right, right.
Yeah.
It's like total. It's the most disgusting vibe within Marxism is the idea that wearing a scarf and having glasses and having a fucking candle is like gonna be somehow revolutionary. When revolutions are fucking details of military struggle, they're, like. Barbecue has done more of a service to international Marxism than Vijay Prashad by far. By
So
Communism
far.
is the hammer that we use to destroy our enemies. Mao
exactly.
said that.
If you listen to his thing with Jackson, I was so surprised Jackson could keep a straight face through the whole interview because I could tell what was going on in his head. But uh, VJ was saying that you have to hug it out with those that are going the wrong way. I was like,
Oh,
what
come
the
hug me,
fuck is
please.
this?
Come.
Yeah,
Let's.
I'm not touching you, brother. I'm sorry.
know,
That's some
But
weird Becker shit right there.
the and then he started talking about the working class history of Wyoming and West Virginia, a place that he would never ever go to. He would never speak to these people because
No,
he would condemn them. He would condemn
no,
everything about these people.
no. He
And then
would if
talking
the
about
fucking if the Beckers told him to. He would.
the Beckers wouldn't never tell him to because they can't make any indentation in those
Can
areas
can I
either.
as
They
as a
they hate these people.
brown man? I've earned my brown card. Everyone called me brown. As a brown man, can I
The
point
brown
out
man.
the coloniality of these patriarchal coloniality, violent, cisgendered dynamics going on?
All
Because
right.
effectively, what's going on, to speak frankly, is the Beckers are the Anglo Redcoat Colonial East India Company, and they're giving orders to the what are they called, the Sepoys.
Yeah,
He's like a
yeah.
Sepoy for the colonial Redcoat the Becker family, which are like the East India Company, and he's carrying out their orders, and that's how
Yep.
he's demeaned and degraded himself. It's
Yep. And
disgusting.
we
I've
we gave him an opportunity at a Sepoy mutiny, and he just shunned it and went right back to the British to get the paycheck. All right, it's
Mhm.
I've read
disgusting.
I've read a lot of his scholarship, and some of it is good and worth reading, but there's an idealist trend even in his scholarship where like he's very pro UN and he's very pro non-aligned movement. And he likes it because of the ideals. He likes how it sounds in his head. Yeah, international law that keeps
Well,
everyone in peace.
Eddie, the thing about the United States Charter of Human Rights and international law is that we basically have to abide by the framework of the common rights of human rights, of basically the equality of the human rights and the UN Charter that guarantees the food supply of all the people under the socialist cause.
That's
Viva,
it.
viva Gandhi, and viva, viva the socialist international human rights, where we can basically have NGOs funded by George Soros and the Tides Foundation go into every country and basically spread socialist sentiment by marching on the street with a sign that says human rights.
You know,
That's it.
and
It's a
speaking of it,
liberal basis for how to combat imperialism by having this international body based on the liberal conception of human rights. And you look, it's like the
Mhm.
UN, those ideals didn't work because they were rooted in liberal ideology, and the non-aligned movement didn't work either. I'm sorry, but they should have just sided with the fucking Soviets.
No, Eddie, listen. You need to understand the complexities and the dynamics of the situation. Okay, not all of the road to socialism takes many different paths, and some of those paths involve being a sepoy for the Anglo-Saxon Brian Becker family. Okay,
it takes it takes many. Have you ever noticed, like, speaking of his scholarship, all of it always comes down to a moral argument with him, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
always
that's
like
what
it
I'm talking
doesn't
about.
matter how much Marxism he talks about, whatever. It's like we need to, always think about the most marginalized and this and that and this and that. Like always comes down to that.
That's
Like,
why he
Anything
published
but
books with
class.
Chomsky and Angela Davis.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna drop a nuke. I'm convinced there's some strange like Brahmin cult that was invented. That's like this must be like Fabian socialism. It's like some strange, weird sect. I don't know where it's coming from. So many like high class people from India, Bhaskar Sankara, this guy, Zohran. It's like something weird is going on where they're like inventing this version of socialism where it's like a form of veganism in a way, where it's like about being moral and it's about like it's about being enlightened and like above everyone else
and
and knowing
nice.
better. It's like it's like disgusting actually. Like what the fuck is that?
It's a cult of nice. It's who can be the nicest to those they pity the most, right?
Virtue
Yeah,
signaling.
It's
what
it's
was
it's it's just like the most toothless form of socialism. It's disgusting how toothless it is.
what was exceptionally disgusting to me was when VJ, when he was talking about West Virginia and Wyoming and all these things, he's like, the American worker should go and they should embrace more their working class and history and ancestry. I'm like, no one in West Virginia is ashamed of their coal mining parents.
You gotta convince them.
It's
No,
like,
you gotta go convince them.
yeah, you have to convince them to be okay that they come from a long line of coal miners. They fucking have no problem
Imagine
with that.
imagine him going to West Virginia and be like, listen, everyone, listen. He goes to like a coal mining place. He's like, I want everyone to be honest that you don't have to be ashamed of being white. It's okay. Okay? Don't be afraid. It's okay. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think
gives a
you'd like the
fuck.
reaction.
We would
Thank
not.
you, VJ. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving him the advice.
Permission.
When in reality, he needs to fucking call up his colonial overlord, Brian Becker, and fucking tell him that shit. Go fucking tell the Beckers that they should stop fucking scolding and patronizing workers with their nonsense.
Exactly.
I mean, why do they think they're leaving us in droves and the Beckers are telling him to stop legitimizing us or whatever?
Okay, you know what?
Right?
Can I drop a nuke? So many fucking people from PSL come to us
Exactly.
in all of our chapters. Like they're picked them. We don't even do it on purpose. It's like I cannot tell you how many ex-PSL people we have in our fucking party. A lot. Like a fuck ton.
Dude, every single time we have an event, at least 10, 15 people come up and tell me, like, introduce themselves. I'm so glad I found you.
I was in the
guys. I was in PSL and
it was
going
rough.
nowhere.
It was rough.
Right?
They kept making
And
me
we're just-
march around with candles. I didn't like it.
I mean,
We
think
only
about
got
it. You
one
got
candle, and I was a white guy, so I had to go last with the candle. It was horrible.
Yeah, I had to get scolded for being white all the time.
you have this party where that's their culture, is this AI culture or HR culture of scolding people for being white. And then what is it? It's the Becker family, this white family grifting off of socialism and collecting all this money from dudes.
Right.
And then
So
I
that's
have
the
these
privileged
retarded
whites.
groypers and I have these fucking right wingers. And then it's so strange. It's honestly so strange. It's like I'm a racist and a white supremacist. And which, my impressions of Vijay Prashad, I'll leave that for the audience
Spot on,
to judge
honestly.
me. I'll leave that to the audience. But I feel like I get a pass, right? But it's like apparently we are the anti-white ones. Did you guys know this? We're the ones that are anti-white and third worldist.
Look, Hodge,
And-
it straight up, we got to do the call back to your TikTok, which check out his TikTok if you haven't. But if you scold people for being white, boom, we don't want you. If you
It's
scold
true.
people for being black, boom, we don't
Yeah,
want
we
you.
don't
It's that
want you.
simple.
We don't want you. We don't want you. We straight
America
up
doesn't want you people.
These fucking weirdos just obsessed with making people feel bad about their skin color is the dumbest shit.
Oh, you are white. You have benefited from the coloniality of your fucking background and your structural. It's like fuck.
Like, how little do you have to have going on in your life that this is what you're thinking about?
No, the demeaning thing is how the way that they make people like. Oh, you're white? Sit down. You can't speak.
You
How
gotta
dare you
sit
speak
down
over?
and listen.
How
Shut up
dare
and
you?
listen. That's like a
Listen.
slogan they have.
Listen. A WOC is speaking. Listen.
I
Fuck.
once got scolded by Taryn Febeck for using the word scold at her and told it was misogynist language. I got told to shut up and listen.
Taryn is like the most black woman there is, though, to be fair.
Exactly.
She's a black woman. She's totally a black, Hispanic
Well, why do you
woman
think
of color.
I sat down and listened, man? Now I'm woke. It's
Sat
better.
my white ass down and listen. Have you guys
It's
ever
like
been
it's like how Kala is Arab, you know.
Now
Kala
I'm an
Walsh.
ally, Hal.
She's Arab. I'm the white one, and she's the Arab, right?
White dude LARPing as an Arab.
I love when white people like are trying to LARP as Arabs and so desperately want to be like seen and considered Arab, and they're not. And then they have resentment toward me because like, you're wasting that shit. Are you kidding, Haas? If I was Arab, I would always like use it and like hold it over people's head. Like, oh, if I was a fucking libtard, you know how crazy I could like capitalize. My parents were refugees. Victims of imperialism. I'm such a victim. I'm a victim of structural oppression. And
Don't forget.
then meanwhile,
generational trauma.
Groypers think I'm trying to hide my heritage and I'm trying to act like a white guy. And even though the libtards gave me a free white identity when they said I'm Adam Tahir, they said I'm half white and I'm Adam Tahir and I'm a Maronite, which is like, okay, I could have, at that point I could have said that I'm white and lied about my heritage.
You had the in, man. You fucking missed
I could have joined the white race.
The doors are shut now.
I could have been drafted in, yeah. But yeah,
we should do the fucking Chappelle Show racial draft thing.
There's a lot of those white wannabe Arabs on TikTok. They all say like Afghanistan. They like try to say the words in Arabic. I'm not gonna. There's nothing wrong with it, but it drives me fucking crazy. I'm like,
white people do it. White people trying to do like the accent for proper nouns is the funniest shit in the world. It's like the assholes who say croissant when they're talking about croissant.
I love when Danny Shaw came to Dearborn. He's like an ethnographer. He's like, let me study this. This is fascinating.
It'll just randomly start speaking fucking like
I'm a
Haitian
professor
Creole or whatever.
This is like a zoo, like all these exotic people.
Well, that's fundamentally how both of these camps look at, average Americans. They just look at us as specimens to be studied or something. It's disgusting.
Straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yo, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just realized that like this whole time my name has been Midwestern Marxism School on here.
Wait, that's not your name?
I'll edit it out.
It could be worse, okay? It could be much worse. Could
Carlos
be much worse.
Carlos and I did like 30 minutes of a stream once where he had Carlos Z/Zer. we had to delete the whole stream and re-record.
Yeah, it's like the Joe Sims call.
It was I had it for a while as it/that.
Yeah. Well. I think that's it, guys.
Yeah.
That all our topics?
I think that's it.
I think it's enough.
Well, we'll be here next week, and let us know in the comments what topics you want to cover next. Which means give us some free ideas, maybe. We'll think about it. Everyone should be commenting. Everyone, if you hear this, comment. There's no excuse. All right, guys.